This is El Matiz. Follow us on our social media.
Hey, everyone. So here we're at this is like a cross post between Matisse and Cracks and Pomo. So we've done a couple of episodes with Merchan, who's here, Juan Merchan, who's in Canada right now, and most of our episodes have been in Spanish. But today we're doing an episode in English with Steve Adubato, who you guys know from Cracks and Pomo. And what are we talking about? We're talking about America. We're talking about Europe, and a couple of like pieces we've written on Cracks and Pomo. So one of the pieces I wrote is related to America, or the idea or the concept of America. And Steve's written also about suburban America, about the diabolical aspect of AC. And Merchan, who's focused a lot on Europe. He recently wrote a piece on what is it? Lorca, Garcia Lorca from Spain, the poet. Okay. So since we've done a lot of episodes in Spanish, you're allowed to throw some words in Spanish here and there, or
Or
Spanglish, or whatever,
Spanglish.
either the AOC style or the J Lo style, not the
Can't tell
Ben
which is
Affleck style.
worse. I don't know which
Yeah.
is worse, but
Yes, you pick. All right. So I think we should start with talking about AC, right? I see that
exactly.
Steve looks like he's hot today, right?
Very hot. Very
Why
hot.
is that?
Well, I just went for a run in the boiling hot heat. And as a very committed Mediterranean pilled person, I don't use air conditioning. I have it right there, but I just, on principle, I can't use it because it's diabolical. It's not natural. So I'm just sitting here fanning myself. I feel fine. I'm still a little sweaty, but I don't feel,
Well,
the demons possessing me. So I'm
is
okay.
it part of the performance for the episode, or is it
Yeah,
actually
I
something
have
you
to,
do?
sticking to the bit.
Okay.
But I just I actually don't like look, if you put a little bit of AC on very lightly, it's fine. But in the US, and this will bring us to, Baudrillard US versus Europe. The US, we overdo everything. We supersize McDonald's, everybody's fat. We just have to blast the air, and it's bad for the environment. It makes you freezing cold. And for me, for some reason, like it upsets my intestines, like it makes me have to poop really bad. So I just don't want AC. And the fan,
Wow.
you
That
know.
that that sounds like coffee to me. That's what coffee does to people.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
why I have to be careful with coffee too.
really? You can't handle coffee? Okay.
In the morning, I can. It'll make me sick. What
Well,
about
I've
you?
been drinking coffee all day long, so I
We're
don't know if it's
Colombian,
my
so you
Colombian
have
side
to
or
in your
if
blood.
it's more of a US thing to drink a lot of coffee. So it could be
But
both.
did you know the dead Pope, Pope Francis, said that air conditioning is a sin, actually. Not literally. I'm being
Hmm.
hyperbolic. No, in Laudato Si, which is the big environmental encyclical.
Oh yeah, I
he-
remember that. You wrote about that, yeah.
yeah, he was saying, like everybody uses stuff in excess and it's bad for the environment, like air conditioning. They just be blasting it all day long, even if no one's in the room. And obviously the God isn't happy. So another reason not to use
So
air
how's the
conditioning.
deal there in Canada right now? They're like burning the forests and sending all the smoke towards the US.
Yeah, that's precisely what's happening with sending all the smoke from the wildfires southwards, and it's affecting down to Delaware and Virginia now. No, I mean,
So
like
they don't
Canada
care
is
about the environment down there or up there?
that's funny because I lived in Vancouver because I live in Montreal. Most apartments have AC. I have the AC on now. It's been like very humid. Like I live in Montreal, right? And Montreal is a very humid city. It's of course hot during the summer, but it's also very humid. So, oh, sorry, my girlfriend's dog is barking. But yeah, so it's very humid. So I mean, it's like most places have it. But I lived in Vancouver before, and like the West Coast, and I guess it happens in Seattle and some other places in the US. In Vancouver, like not many places have AC till recently, till like 10 years ago. Because of like global warming, the temperature has like increased on average. And it's crazy. Like most people who died in Canada because of heat waves are in the West Coast because they don't have ACs. So yeah, there's like of course seniors that live by themselves and yeah, they don't keep hydrated.
So that's
But
sort of like Europe, right?
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
happening in Europe, like a bunch of old people dying more than
But
COVID, I think.
is that a bad thing? Because like, aren't you supposed to die when you're old?
Yeah, you're supposed
Like,
to die. I
why do
agree
we
with that,
have
yeah.
to? Yeah, because like if you just keep living, then people have to take care of you, and you're decrepit. Like people die when they're old. It's nature.
That's an
Yeah.
No,
English
I'm
take.
not promoting
Like,
elder abuse here, but I'm just trying to make a point, you know.
Yeah, but I think like didn't Europe lock down a bunch of elder people during COVID? So yeah,
Well, okay, good point.
that's a good point. But yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so
But
AC.
Montreal is Europe, though, technically.
it is, but
What
in terms of ACs, I would have to say it's very American.
All right.
And most places, yeah, and even like the noisy ones that everyone hates that, leaks this liquid, like to the most modern ones that like the type of ACs that like
Mm.
most people have now. So yeah, it's surprising to find a place in Montreal without AC. And it's
Mhm.
funny because in the neighborhood I live in the plateau in Montreal, it's been colonized, like neo-colonized by French people again.
Uh-oh.
And well, they come from France, and you would say, okay, it's French people, they wouldn't need an AC. And most people crave for an AC here. And they actually like require when they rent a place, they require the place to have an AC.
where
So I
is your
guess like
girlfriend from?
people are leaving France for Quebec, like French people, because they want places with ACs, and
Is
also
your
good.
girlfriend French? I
My
heard she
girlfriend is
was.
French from
Like
Paris, yeah.
real France?
So
Wow.
is she like a
And she doesn't have an
neo-colonizer?
AC at her place,
Okay.
and she spends the nights with me because I have AC. So that's a
Wow.
very funny take, and
That's
I
one
just
way to get women with AC.
well in the city,
Yeah. That's how
I
you
live during the
guys
summer,
hooked up through AC.
Wow.
and
It
also
wasn't
working,
Tinder, it was AC that put you together. Yes.
and a
That's
working
nice.
heating system because like winters here are freaking crazy. And if like there are some places without like working heating system and having a good heater, it's also attractive for people.
That should be an option on Tinder. Like, do you have AC? You check it off. But
Yeah.
but since Montreal is like the France of America, do the people there use deodorant or do they go natural? Because I know how it is
Tough
in
question.
France.
I've like if you go like I'm surprised to see like every time I take the metro that yeah like I don't smell like bad odors as much as in New York and or Toronto or
Really?
Vancouver.
New York, yeah.
Yeah, or
Oh.
Europe. But yeah, from time to time, especially when I hit the gym, and there's always like this guy who would like, yeah, you would say, okay, it's like like the alt right would say, oh, it's an immigrant, and no, it's actually the Québécois guy, like the typical blonde, blue-eyed Québécois guy who's always making noises when he's lifting weights, and he has this terrible odor that
Yeah.
can be detected from I don't know, like from many feet away. It's just crazy. But yeah, like in terms of no, I wouldn't say that that's something particular from Montreal. But yeah, in many other ways, Montreal is very European. It's left leaning. I'm always saying that it's surprising to find someone every time I go to a bar or to a concert that is not left wing and hates Trump.
But
It's
which
just
kind of left wing? Like,
woke, like from wokeism to traditional like left, like socialist left.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, but of course, like newer generations, they are like, of course, woke. But like the Palestine protests in the university I work at have been controversial,
Hmm.
and yeah, there's a like the whole list of cancellations, protests. I don't know if you guys follow this guy, Gat Sat, I think his name. He's an author.
No, I don't know him now.
Like Elon Musk keeps on retweeting him. He lives in Montreal and he's planning to leave for the US because yeah, like some people were just like making protests in front of his house because he's like right wing. So
Well, I
yeah.
know about a guy who left to Argentina, one of these tech bros who
Oh,
left to
Peter Thiel.
Argentina.
Yeah.
And yeah, now the Argentina's winning and they want to take over the Malvinas. That's the name in Spanish. Which one do you
Falklands. Yeah.
prefer? The Falklands in English? I don't know. So that could be part of the conversation because some people say that Argentina is sort of European. What's your take on that? Is Argentina Latin American or Latinx, or is Argentina European?
Mm. Every time I meet a white Tino from Argentina who's like, I'm a Latina. I'm like, are you though? I don't I don't know. Like if you have like Nazi ancestors, I don't know if that counts as Latinx.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, they're all Europeans. They're like zero indigenous or black people. I mean, that's probably not true. I just never met any. But but what
Yeah.
is Latinidad? I don't know. Who am I to say? I'm not truly Latinx, so my opinion doesn't matter.
I thought you felt like you were a true Latino
I mean,
more than the
I
two of
do,
us here.
but according to wokeism, I'm not worthy.
Oh,
So,
because you're culturally appropriating the culture.
yeah, but then it's like, but if identity is self-determined, which, woke people hold for gender, then yeah, like I am Latinx. But this is
Yeah.
why they need to get their terms
But
straight. They
you
can't just
feel
be
like a
like,
particular sort of Latino, not you wouldn't want to be a Colombian Latino like
no, I'm
Merchan
not,
here.
definitely not Colombian. I have respect for you people, but I don't know. I just like don't vibe the same way.
Well, so what's your beef against Colombians?
I
What's
don't, I don't know. All the Colombians here in New Jersey, New York are very full of themselves, very bougie. They like look down on the other Latinx. But
uh-huh.
also the Colombians are like the best dancers next to the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans.
Okay. All
But
right.
I have respect for that. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, going back to what we were talking, yeah, right now I'm in Florida actually. So there's a lots of AC right here. This is my new place, new apartment here. I've got a lot of AC. So the reason we started the conversation was because we wrote a couple of pieces. Mine was about America through Baudrillard. So I think we should talk about Baudrillard. I've got my book here.
in French.
It's in French. I read it in French. So Steve was asking if I read it just to show off that I read it in French. So of course that's part of it, yeah,
I
just to
love it.
show off. But like when Carlos just said, I do speak a little bit of French, or I understand it. There's an expression in French that says je parle français comme une vache espagnole, which means I speak French like a Spanish cow or a Spaniard cow.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, since we're talking about Europe, that's a good way to
Hmm.
bring up the cultural differences, I would say. So what I wanted to mention about Baudrillard is that he wrote this book in the 80s, 85, I believe. And to some people, I was listening to a podcast before this just to get my mind like set for this. And some people consider that book to be a critique of America and because he talks about America being hyperreal and primitive to a certain degree. What's your I don't know if Juan Carlos has read that book, but what's your take on that, Steve? Do you think is a critique
Well,
or is that an
yeah.
ode? To me, it's like an ode. He's
Well, yeah, I mean, he's saying America, yeah, is hyperreal, everything's a simulation, the epitome of all the stuff that he writes about. But because he's a nihilist, he's saying he's celebrating all this. Like he likes that it's all fake. he thinks it's an accomplishment, but also he thinks like it's just more authentic to the age we're living in, where nothing really matters anymore. And he's saying, Europe, you have all this history, all this legacy, you see buildings that are hundreds of years old. And he's like, I would say this is why Europe is superior to the US, because again, there are roots. Europe has a history which is present today. And it's not nihilistic, but again, as I am saying that that's better as someone who's not a nihilist, I think there is truth. I think it's still, accessible today. But anyway, so I don't think he's critiquing it. I think he's celebrating how horrible America is because he likes it. Uh,
Hmm.
but then, okay, but like on a serious note, so you look at Disneyland, you look at Vegas, and he's like, oh, look how great it is because it's so fake. But I think the parts where he talks about like, the desert and the highways, there is something genuinely positive here because it's this like wide, expansive, open, infinite possibilities. The highway, like who knows where you're gonna go, this desire to drive, to search, to just go out there. Yeah, like there is something beautiful in a way. But I think, I don't know. I mean, when we start talking about your essay that you wrote for us for 4th of July, I mean, you captured something else about the book and about the US that I don't know, I found really compelling, which is part of why we published
Hmm.
it. But that's my take. It's like
Yeah.
he's saying it's all fake, but because he's a nihilist, he's like, this is great. Look how cool. That's how I read
Yeah. Well, what I agree about what you just said, I guess, is the part about Europe being like an open air museum. That's the feeling I got when I went to Europe. So to some people that might be positive. It's like an open air museum where you can just roam around that museum and that's it.
it.
But to me, like Baudrillard says, that's not actually real because you're living off of a fantasy, let's call it, of the past, of what Baudrillard would call the retro. What is retro or nostalgia for what is old,
Mhm.
and you can't like spend your whole life living like that, much less a whole continent living off of their past only. And that would be a critique of Europe that I agree with. Uh, but yeah, as opposed to America, Baudrillard says that there's it's like there's the open road, there's like infinite possibilities, so that makes it a little bit different in that sense. Yeah.
But the problem with Europe is that like they don't believe in the ideal that their tradition represents. Like they don't believe in it anymore. So it ends up just becoming nostalgia, a museum piece. And I think that's the problem is not the presence of the past. I think it's that it means like they've adopted a worldview which like sucks the meaning out of it. So now it's just again like the nostalgic museum piece. Um, I don't know. I think it's a problem with like Europeans have abandoned their history.
Okay, so you think that's the reason it's a museum, or it looks sort of a museum, is just because they're just living off of that nostalgia, but they're not actually uh like they don't actually feel that the Europeanness.
Yeah, but also like uh tradition, when you look at the word, like it literally means passing something down. So it's not
Hmm.
a static phenomenon, it's a dynamic one. It's something from the past continuing to enter into the present. It's not something stuck in the past. I think again, because they don't believe in the ideal which these old buildings and artifacts represent anymore, there's nothing to unite these old things to the present. So like, okay, so if you take the religious legacy of Europe, Christianity, Protestant, Orthodox, Catholic, whatever. Like that ideal gave meaning to all those old churches and the buildings and the this and the
Hmm.
that. And if you still believe in it, then those buildings mean something today and can continue to give life to the culture today and also give way to new innovations. So this way, it's not, again, just like the past is stuck there. the past, present, the future remain united by this transcendent ideal. But again, they've abandoned that ideal. So all the old stuff, it can only be something nostalgic,
Hmm.
which means useless. And the thing with the US is like, okay, there are no roots. Everything is new. So that means infinite possibilities, but it also means there's barely any foundation to keep the newness, to ground it in anything. And I think like when he talks in the latter part of the book about Reagan's smile, like that to me was really fascinating because he's like, okay, America,
Hmm.
everything's great, infinite possibility, capitalism, you can make a lot of money, but then you have Reagan, who's always smiling. What is he smiling about? Like, is he genuinely happy or is he just like deceiving us? So
It's
like,
like when you go to a restaurant here in the US, everyone's smiling. They're deceiving you.
well, the customer service thing, which he talks about in the consumer society, like it's a mask for resentment. It's a mask for this inner emptiness and a contempt for the customer that like you're making me have to put on this show so that you can give me money. So
Hmm.
that's the dark side of America that makes me say, maybe it's not so great after all.
Yeah, but I like compared to customer service in Europe, I really I'd rather have the customer service here in the US, especially in Spain,
Yeah.
because when I went there, they're like, you want to order something, and they're like, what do you want? So you get, I don't know, let's say I got a beer or something, and like, te pongo una cerveza. So they use in Spanish, they use the word poner, which means like to put. And
Yeah.
like, to me, it sounds like you're putting the food on your head or something like that. So it not only sounds rude, it just destroys the whole experience. But yeah, I
Um,
mean, if you
You
like that,
prefer
that's
the
fine.
transactional kindness to the brutal
Uh,
bluntness.
yeah,
yeah.
that's too brutal for me.
Okay, but
Yeah.
in Europe, I've found like some rude waiters, but I also found some who were kind but inefficient. But like the
They're
nice
slow. Yeah, slow as hell.
they're
Yeah, I remember.
slow, and it's like, you know what? When you're out to eat, you should take your time. And why should the waiter be stressed? Like they'll get there when they get there. And if they're
Yeah.
nice to you, then you know it's because they actually are nice. If they're rude, then you know that they don't like you. Like it's not like in America where like you don't know, do they mean it or not? Uh,
Mhm. Well, actually, I had the chance to go to Cuba, and that's how
oh,
customer service is there. So I thought it was like a Cuba, like a communist thing. But then I went to Europe, and it was exactly like that, which is not the case. I don't know if it's the case in South America, like in Colombia, even though people don't get tipped, they they actually provide a better service than the one in Europe. That's what I think.
what about Montreal? They tip, right? I've tipped when I was in
The tip,
Montreal.
yeah, I hate tipping here. I was talking about that last night at a bar. But yeah, it's ridiculous because sometimes, yeah, they don't even provide good service, but they're expecting you to tip 15 or 20%.
Yeah.
So I would say like most places they give like good service. And now with Google reviews, I think, and Reddit, I think the public has a lot of strength in terms of uh, resisting bad customer service. So I know waitresses and restaurant and bar owners know that. And whenever there's like a slight horrible service, people would go on Reddit or Google reviews and they would just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
which they're banning in Germany. I read something
The
saying that
Germans would ban
the
it,
government is
you know,
banning customer reviews. I don't know if
uh,
that's true or not.
very authoritarian
interesting.
Germany.
It's sort of
Hmm.
like the English, right? That's why they lost against Argentina.
Uh, God was punishing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been waiters?
I've been a host
A
I've been
host?
a waiter.
at an Olive Garden.
Oh, don't say that in front of me.
Why is that?
Not Italian. No, we don't.
Oh
It's very,
yeah, but actually, that I mean not Olive Garden, but I'd rather eat like a Little Italy spaghetti and meatballs than actual
wow.
Italian food from Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like saying you want to go to Taco Bell instead of like real Latinx food.
Yeah, but even the actual Mexican restaurants here are different than the Mexican restaurants
Oh,
in Mexico. Like Colombian food to me tastes better here in the US because
Really?
they use better ingredients or more. They put more
Oh,
chicken, more food, more
Really?
cheese on stuff. Yeah. So you should try whenever you get the chance to have the bandeja paisa, which is the traditional
I
one from
would.
Medellin.
It has
It's better here
pork
in the
in
U.S.
it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
you
like
don't. Oh,
pork.
because
No, I
you
don't like
yeah.
pork.
It's your
No, they
religion.
have my very devout, um, Allah. Just kidding. I just don't like the taste of pork.
Okay.
But no, there are a lot of Colombian places in Jersey that I don't know how authentic they are. They taste good to me.
They taste better than the ones in Colombia. Yeah. That's my take.
Okay.
Most ethnic food tastes better in the U.S. than in the actual countries where it comes from.
What about Montreal? Are there Colombian places?
There are just a few, but yeah, there are. I wouldn't go that far, like as far as Juan Manuel is going in terms of saying that the food is better, especially because this is like very, very far from Colombia. So I'm not really sure if the same type of ingredients uh,
Yeah.
are.
They don't have a lot of variety. That's the only issue that I have. Yeah.
But what's funny is that I always like I have like some friends from other countries in Latin America, and I always feel diminished, like myself. I make myself diminish in terms of Colombian food, especially because I'm always comparing to Mexican and Peruvian, and of course we don't have any part in that discussion. Like Colombian food is nowhere compared to Peruvian food, for example.
Peruvian food beats
It's
Colombian food. Yeah.
yeah, of
I agree with
course,
that. Yeah.
and Mexican
Yeah.
too is more
Yes.
diverse.
Yeah.
Uh, like
Yeah.
In Colombia and Ecuador, like everyone eats rice all the time. Like the dishes are based on rice, and yeah, rice is good
Colombian's
if you
better than
want to.
Ecuadorian, though. I can't take Ecuadorian food.
There's not such a thing as Ecuadorian food.
I've had it. I don't like it.
It's like a spin of Colombian food.
But it has like no flavor.
They eat guinea pig.
I know.
That's what you should try. Yeah.
No.
Cuy. Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah.
Rodents.
All right, nice. Yeah, well, now we were talking about cathedrals. Merchant wrote about a text
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
about that. So, what's your take on that? Because are Canadian cathedrals like more European than American, or what would you? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the text that I published through Cracks did mention that a little bit, and it's the fact that in Montreal there's so many churches in Montreal, like Catholic churches,
Mhm.
and I, of course, the followers in Montreal have diminished over the years. There's been like an increase over the past 10 years, but in general, of course, it's not like isn't it cannot be compared to 100 years ago. And churches are still there. There's one that is like 10 minutes from my place where there was a movement, like a feminist movement that was protesting in front of the church. And they would just go there to like, like with a big banner protesting for anything like related to Catholicism or not related to Catholicism, but they would just go there to protest. So the church asked the city to put a big sign saying, hey, the Catholic heritage of Quebec is to be respected. It's what makes us Québécois, and it's part of the Quebec history. And it's now there, like in front of the place where they used to go to protest. And some of the churches, since they don't have as many followers as before, they are, of course, like renting the premises for parties and actually Latino people, Latino groups, like for, like matrimonio, quinceañera parties, all that. They
They're
go
like
to
throwing
churches,
raves there, right?
rent it out because you cannot party at home because the walls here are very small, like, the triplex, like the very small, thin or narrow wood. So neighbors would call the police if you throw a Latino party. So just go to the churches and party wild.
The feminists don't want to go to the parties?
Sorry, what was that?
The feminists don't want to go to have parties?
Maybe
Wow.
maybe yes,
What?
but they just I don't know why like
Feminists don't
something
like
happened.
Latinos? That sounds kind of racist to me.
Maybe they want there was something happening at that specific church. I may do some research if it was like related to the indigenous assimilation back in the time or
All right.
minors abuse or something. But you would always see those like feminists like protesting in front of that church. I don't know why that one
Mm.
specifically. But I got to say also that yeah, with the recent increase in followers in Montreal, there's a very interesting mix between the Jewish synagogues and followers and the Catholic ones. And the text that I wrote mentions one church that the church that I go to, and that church is in the Jewish in the Montreal Jewish neighborhood by excellence. And every time I go to the church, I see this Hasidic Jewish community, and they would have like a very interesting interaction with the followers, and we burst into conversations on Sunday mornings, and that's beautiful to see, I have to say. And yeah, that's something that I don't think it happens in other places, like in Latin America. I don't see that interfaith interaction
Hmm.
as much as I've seen in this particular neighborhood. But talking a little bit about the aesthetic as well, in terms of Europe, as you were mentioning, Juan Manuel, like the historical heritage of Europe compared to Canada and the US, and also talking about churches, uh, especially in Florida, Juan Manuel, is there like, because I remember we went when you were living in Gainesville, we went to this church, uh,
Yeah.
and it was a beautiful church, right? And you started a conversation with a university professor there. That was beautiful. But I will say that there's like a lot of like religious heritage, at least in Florida, right?
Well, we also went to St. Augustine. Remember
Oh,
that?
that's where it'd be.
And what's his name wrote a piece on that. He's in
Santiago.
Santiago. Yeah, he wrote a piece on that. St. Augustine is actually a Spanish town here in Florida. And well, you guys should go there because you could actually enjoy a little bit of European tradition there while also being in Florida. And I could drive you there since you guys don't like driving that much. So if you can stay here at my place and I'll drive you there. It's a nice location.
Florida, can we talk about Florida for a moment?
Yeah. What about Florida? Yeah.
Florida, I have a lot to say about Florida. First of all, it's the end of the famous pipeline from
Mm-hmm.
Italy, Brooklyn, Staten Island, New
Okay.
Jersey, and then finally they all end up in Florida.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of New York, New Jersey Italians there, but I can't stand Florida because it's like California's one extreme of America that I hate, and then there's Florida, the other extreme. Because there's like nothing makes any sense in Florida. There's no law and order. Um, and it's really hot. You don't have any seasons, but also like it's like suburbia, but in the worst way. Because like you need a car to get everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like all stroads, highway stroads. But yeah, the churches, I mean, I have family in like West Palm area, and the churches, it's interesting because like they're all very bougie and suburbanized, but some of them are nice. They all have like, I think that's a Florida trend. They all have gardens outside, like very well maintained gardens, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to any of like the Latinx churches in Florida. I feel like I would be better off.
Yeah, I think I've been to
Yeah.
when my niece was born, or my cousin actually was born. I was the godfather, and we
Mm.
went to a Latino church here. So there's a bunch of those. There's usually a service in English. And there's one in Spanish, like one in the
Mhm.
morning, one in the afternoon. That's how they work here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really go to church that much. My parents didn't used to go to church that much when I was a kid, so it's not something I do a lot. Maybe I think Merchant is more into that, right? I don't know about you, but yeah, I don't really go there that much. But yeah, I guess there's like interesting writers, like authors. Flannery O'Connor, do you guys know her?
Heard of it.
She wrote a short story about going from I don't know exactly where, maybe like North Carolina to Florida. You should read that. That gives you an idea of how wild it gets when you get down here.
Hmm.
But
Has Juan Merchan been to Florida? What do you
he,
make of it?
yeah.
I've been a couple of times, and thanks to Juan Manuel, I've been exploring some other places aside from the typical places where Colombians go, like Orlando and Miami. And that's precisely why I didn't like Florida that much before going, is
Mm.
because like the type of Colombians that go there are the worst type of Colombians, I have to say. And sorry if like someone there is
Uh-oh.
watching this pod, but it's this typical, like we have a Spanish word for this. I don't know how to say it in English. It's arribista, right? It's like this type of people who wants aspire to be better, and does no matter what to get to that position. But when it gets to that position, this person keeps on having the same attitudes that they used to have before, and they come from like all, I don't know, I would say like most of them are like conservative, right wing, but also they support this type of Colombianism and nationalism that I absolutely hate, which is like, okay, Colombia is the best country in the world, and they always wear this Colombian football jersey or soccer jersey, and they go and vote with the jersey, and they believe that that Colombia is the best country in the world, but they live in Florida, right?
Mm.
And they identify the Colombian idols like Shakira or Juanes, and they say that there's no one better than them. So it's
So
the
you don't like Shakira?
blind nationalist. Yes, I do, but
Is
I don't
Shakira
go to the
overrated?
position.
Is she
Well,
overrated?
do her hips lie? That's the question.
Do they? I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen them lie.
Well, actually, I like the old Shakira. I don't know if you've seen
Well,
videos of
that's
her
The
when she
90s
had black
Shakira was
hair.
great. Yeah.
Estoy aquí.
That was a good, like, yeah, like the
Descalzos.
Yes,
Yeah, the
descalzos and
like
all that.
rocker
It's right.
rocker
little.
Shakira. Yeah,
Yeah,
And that,
like it
grunge.
honestly, I have to say, like as a songwriter, it's very interesting, very poetic. Speaking of Lorca, there's like always something cryptic going on, which I respect. But like even the more pop songs, like they're fun. You can't deny they're fun. I don't know. I'll always love her.
and she's very smart, and like she's been singing the official song for the Soccer World Cup for the past like 20 years. She's very smart. She's got great contacts, I have to say. She's a great entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And as you guys know, her ex husband Piqué, who's a Spanish footballer
Yes.
or soccer player, he cheated on her, and then she went on record this song, and she's making millions with this song that talks about this toxic relationship.
What is it? What song is it?
It's Las mujeres no lloran,
Ay,
las mujeres actúan.
bueno,
Women Don't Cry. Okay, yeah.
las
Yeah,
mujeres no lloran.
Yeah. Well,
Catchy.
but
very smart.
the Spanish government tried to rip her off, or they were charging her a bunch of taxes that supposedly she didn't pay. So now she's living here in
Colonizer
the U.S.,
strikes
right?
again.
She's living in the US now. Oh,
I think so, right? After
no,
the
I think,
Spanish government tried to rip her off with all that money, no?
but I think she's back to
Oh,
Barcelona.
probably. Yeah, I don't know.
But something
It
else I have to
doesn't.
say
Yeah.
about Colombians in
Yeah.
Miami, and probably Stephen, you didn't see the images, fortunately, but 2 years ago there was like this soccer tournament in Miami, well, in the US, but specifically in Miami, and the final was between Argentina and Colombia. And the final, like the official kickoff, had to be postponed because Colombian fans who didn't buy the ticket, they tried to enter the stadium, and they just broke past the security guards, and they invaded the stadium. They went through the air vents of the stadium to make it to,
Oh,
yeah, to the interior, and it was crazy images. And when I saw that, I felt so embarrassed to be
embarrassed. Yeah.
Colombians. And what's worse was that I was in Colombia at the time, and I having some vacations there. And my friends in Montreal, so in Montreal, like of course during the summer they install like big screens, and they just project the soccer matches. And there was like one of these events happening, and you have to pay like $10 to get in. Like, it was nothing. And Colombians, even here, also they also like broke past the security of this event, and they went inside without paying. And of course, like there was a lot of videos of the security guards trying to stop them. It was so embarrassing. It's oh my God. So this is the type of nationalism that I loathe, and that's what the image I had about Florida in general. But I have to say that through Juan Manuel, I've managed to see like other parts of the U.S. And when we went to this church that we were talking about, we met this professor, and he was like very smart. He was so interested about our Colombian heritage and us living in the U.S., or Juan Manuel living in the U.S. And in San Agustin, yeah, all the heritage, Spanish heritage, but then we would see the Trump supporters with the big flag. It was before the elections. And then for me, it was very wild to see this like Spanish colony era church. And next to it, there was like a Trump flag. I don't know, Juan, might you remember that?
Yeah, it was a guy making it was sort of a joke, something that was being written about Biden. So the guy wrote something about Biden, yeah, and then he was a Trump supporter, so he had the Trump flag there.
Okay.
So, but I don't know exactly what it said, but it was like a huge flag and a huge sign there, right in the middle of St. Augustine. So I remember seeing that. Yeah,
it became part of the landscape, right? Because people were taking photos, like tourists were taking photos of that. Oh, look, this is Florida.
I think you took a photo of that. Maybe you have it there. Yeah, we could post it with the episode.
The
there.
conservatives are part of the landscape there, huh?
They are, yeah. Like during COVID, that St. Augustine never closed, so you could go anywhere, and you didn't have to wear a mask during COVID. So that's the only place that I went to during COVID back in 2020. It was like there were some signs that said like no masks allowed inside the stores. So yeah,
No
that's
masks allowed.
yeah, that's
that's
what
Florida. Yeah.
that's Florida, yeah. Which is like different than in NYC. I don't know how it was there during COVID.
Well, yeah, you have to wear masks. Another famous Colombian in Florida, another Juan David Juan David Rojas.
Yeah, I know him. I've talked to him.
Guy. That guy was in our infamous group chat. Can we go back to Colombian celebrities for a moment? So I have a lot to say, even though it's not to do with America.
Don't worry. I mean, yeah, now that we're talking, because you mentioned that America, there's also North America and South America, right? So what is America? That could be a question. Yeah,
that is a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Latinx pop music, commercial music, is dominated by Puerto Rico and Colombia. And I prefer Puerto Rico because your musicians like Shakira, all right, we'll give it to her. Carol G, what is she? I can't take her seriously.
Yeah, she sucks. Yeah, I'd rather listen to Bad Bunny to her. Yeah,
so Puerto Rico gets that one. Maluma, I mean, what is that? Like, what a joke.
He's no longer a thing. He was a thing for a while. Yeah,
to your people. Yeah. J Balvin, he gets credit for like making reggaeton global, but also he gets blamed for that because that's what made reggaeton kind of start to suck.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like and then I mean outside of like pop reggaeton, like okay, you have Carlos Vives. Like I respect him, you know, he's an actual musician.
I like his older stuff as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? He's nice. Yeah, what he plays something that's called vallenato.
Yeah.
Which is the music that's from where exactly is that, Juan Carlos? That kind of music, vallenato?
Andes. I don't know.
Well, that's more like more traditional music. They play that with an accordion.
Yeah.
So that to me, that's more like what you would call traditional Colombian music. The other stuff is just like pop, but to me, like the American pop is much better than Colombian pop.
Talking about the aesthetic, also in your text, the reflection. well, in Spanish for El Matiz, we talk about white noise, right? The Don Deleuze novel, and he talks about the mall as a concept of like American aesthetic, right? And all the colors that he describes there with the main character going to the mall and having this surreal experience and catharsis. And I just finished this novel by Houellebecq, Serotonin. I read it in Spanish. And the main character is a French guy in his 40s, and he's going through depression, and he's also stalking on his previous ex-girlfriends. But he finds this big, huge mall in France, which is like, of course, a novelty. It's like nowhere to be found there in Europe, and he has like this great orgasm, right? Like having this big structure where he can find anything he wants in the same space. So I don't know how much you want to talk about that, like the concept of the mall, and of course, like a symbol of capitalism, but also a aesthetic symbol.
Well, to me, the mall is more of a symbol of nostalgia, just like the movie Backrooms that recently came out. That's what it is because malls don't really exist anymore, or if they do exist, that's where like not many people go there, and a lot of the stores are closed or they're about to close down. A lot of the malls are not actually operating. Some of them don't even have AC, but I think they're bringing them back. That's what I'm get the feeling that I get. Like they're trying to bring back a lot of the malls, which is not really bad because a lot of teenagers used to hang out there, and that's one space that's disappeared. Like I don't have anything against malls. Yeah, I mean they're nice. If you're a teen and you're hanging out with your friends, it's a nice place to be. I don't know, but I understand it's not a French thing. So if Welbeck is writing about that, it's probably a critique of that. I don't know. So yeah, that's not something that they should have in Europe. That I agree with that.
Yeah, of course, it's a matter of space, and Europe is a small continent, but also it's a concept, right? It's a mindset of uh, because what's the idea behind the European mindset? Spending time outdoors in little cafes with a terrace and tables on the sidewalk, versus the American concept of just going to like a subway or like
Yeah,
what's
like
the
the point, what I wrote about in that piece, the point was that not that you could do one or the other. It was like in America, you go to the mall or you go to a strip mall and you drive a couple of miles or you walk outside and then you'll find nature. You'll find what I call the American portals, which are like you'll find a forest or a swamp with like alligator infested waters, and you'll be able to like venture off into the wild, let's say, as opposed to Europe where you have to pick one or the other. I guess you sit down at the cafe, and if you want to find like a natural spot, then you gotta go somewhere else or wait for your vacation or something. I was just saying how in America you can go off
Oh
into the
God,
wild
hate
and
them all.
yeah, no, well, yeah. So the point was that like you could, like what I wrote in that piece was like you could always go off into the wild and experience nature, go into alligator infested waters here in Florida, and then go to the mall. So it's not one or the other. In Europe, what I was saying is like you kind of have to hang out at the local cafe or the Spanish terraza and with no AC and wait
But
hang out around there all day long.
but how do you feel inside the mall?
Well, I don't know. They're disappearing. That was the my point before you left. But they're kind of trying to bring them back. So I don't know. It's like a space for young people to hang out. Not really people my age, but I don't have anything against them all. I mean, as long as I mean, the thing is that to me they're disappearing. That's the point.
That's
They
good.
yeah.
I hate malls. I grew up in malls. I mean, that's a Jersey thing, and they're
Yeah.
deeply nihilistic. And there's a reason why like mass shootings take place in malls, because like the nihilism of the space like invites murders. But
Hmm.
also, I mean, like now in New Jersey, it's a thing because like it used to be, when you're in high school, you go hang out with your friends at the mall, and like, sure, it's cute, but like it's a very empty experience. But now these TikTokers will be like, "Hey, meet me at the mall, and we're gonna go wild," and then they go viral for like destroying everything and starting fights. And I'm like, but this is the inevitable trajectory of malls. And like, okay, not to sound like, oh, lib, you know what, but like it's the inevitable trajectory of like the free market. Like if the market is free, then it means nothing. And then it leads to like complete nihilism and school shooters and TikTokers being dumb. So I hate malls. I'm like always get freaked out when I'm inside one now because I'm like, oh, is there a shooter coming?
Yeah, like I was saying that
Mhm.
they're sort of like that movie Backrooms that just came out. And whenever I go to a mall, I feel like in that movie.
It's eerie.
It's eerie, yeah. But like I said, I think they're kind of bringing them back and they're fixing some of those. So as long as they look nice and tidy and they don't look like the movie Backrooms, that I don't have an issue with them.
But it's the simulation of looking nice and, pleasant. It's all hollow. And
Hmm.
again, like once the facade comes off, like the shooter's gonna come in and kill all of them.
That could be the case, yeah.
Yeah, I also feel that way at supermarkets, which Baudrillard wrote about in Consumer
Hmm.
Society. Supermarkets are very scary to me. I'd rather go to like a normal little market.
Yeah, you go to the bodega, right? Like
Mhm.
AOC
Like
with your
AOC,
cafecito.
I chop it up with the locals, speaking Spanglish, pretending to know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Put
so
on the red lipstick and the big hoops.
what's your favorite kind of Spanglish or Spanish or whatever?
Spanglish.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I enjoy Dominican, as I was saying earlier. It's its own language, which the woke people don't like when you say that. But do you understand Dominicans when they speak their language?
I do, but Chilean is more of their own
Oh,
language. They have
that
their own words, their own conjugations and everything. So to
true.
me, Dominican is a Caribbean kind of Spanish, so it's still Spanish to me. But Chilean, I think they actually
What?
created their own language.
Well, you know where Caribbean Spanish came from, though.
Yeah, from the south of Spain, right? You mean,
Yeah.
or
So,
yeah.
like when you're in Sevilla, Andalucía,
Hmm.
you do see some parallels porque se comen las palabras. They don't pronounce anything,
Yeah.
just like
Well,
Dominicans.
which one do you like, Juan Carlos? What's your favorite Spanish?
Favorite Spanish. I don't know if I have a favorite. Uh, I would say like Argentinian and Mexican are my favorite because precisely they have this sort of like musicality. And also, well, I love tango and in tango songs they put this lunfardo that Stephen maybe you're aware of because it's the sort of like words and lexicon that the Italian immigrants brought into
Mhm.
Argentina back in the time. And I really like this combination, but they don't put it everywhere like the Chileans do with the Mapuche words, the indigenous language from the Mapuche community into Spanish. They put it everywhere and they shorten the words too, and it's impossible to understand them, as Juan Manuel says. In Argentinian and Uruguayan Spanish, they put the like some like cuoro, like for heart, like corazón instead of corazón, gita for money. Um, they put that like strategically and you are able to understand it. So yeah, I really like that. And Mexican is very easy to understand. It's so slow, but also
Yes,
cool.
it's the easiest for me to understand.
Yeah, so we were talking about suburban America in your,
Mm,
well, Steve wrote about that.
a
Why do you
lot.
consider, is that what you said that was diabolical?
Yeah, I mean
Right.
it is. I mean, and keep in mind I grew up in suburban New Jersey, so I know all about it. Yeah, but the suburbs, like, it truly is a simulation. Like it's not it's the premise of suburbia is to block reality out of your life, to get rid of all friction with the real. Because if you live in the country, you have to deal with nature, you have to deal with the animals and the farm. And you have, like, presuming you're a farmer, you do agricultural work, like you always have something to do. And that's why people like in rural areas who don't have farms are all on fentanyl because there's absolutely nothing. And then in the cities, you're always around people. You're always having to deal with them. You're always, I mean, so sometimes, yeah, like people are annoying, you have to deal with them, but sometimes people are fun. You go to the party, you go out in the streets, it's lively. Um, but in the suburbs, there's nothing to do because work takes place outside of the suburbs. It's like complete separation between public and private sphere. You don't even have to deal with people. Like your neighbors, you never have to talk to them because there's enough space between you and, your house and their house. So again, like the premise to me is diabolical because you try to negate reality, you try to negate what God has created. But then on a psychological level, there's a reason why most kids who grow up in the suburbs have identity disorders, are on Prozac, are bombing buildings and school shooters. Because like they're not really formed. Like they don't have to deal with reality. They don't have to deal with people. They could just sit in their room on Pornhub or Reddit all day. That's not good
So do
psychologically.
you think that was the case for you when you were younger?
Well, I can't really speak about my own experience. No, I mean, I was on Facebook all day being a dumb, stupid teenager when I should have been out doing real things. Like
But
I
now
was.
you're on Instagram and
But but
Substack.
no, but even worse though, before Facebook, like I literally would watch TV all day. I would read sometimes, but I
Mhm.
watch TV and I should have been out playing in the streets with the kids or
Mhm.
doing work or I don't know. So I just psychologically it's bad. And it's also bad for the economy. It's just bad. We should get rid of them all. City,
Yeah, I think
country, pick one or the other.
that's like immigrant kids have that like me, for example, when I was growing up, because we don't know a lot of people when coming here. But if you're able to seek other people, you actually have a lot of fun once you meet other people and you relate to others. So I think that it requires more on your part to be able to like establish relationships or to get to know others in the community. So it's let's say that it's harder on you, but you'll profit from it once you get to meet new people, and it like you have to develop better social skills. When you're out in the city, one way or another, you're going to end up meeting people.
Yeah.
So I think being in the suburbs actually prepares you for life better than living in a city where it doesn't require much effort to meet people.
Mm,
And sometimes you actually don't want to deal with people, which is the case. Uh like in my case, yeah, now that I'm older, almost 40 now. I'm starting not to like to be around people that much. Well, it was my birthday like 3 days ago, so that's why I'm
oh,
saying
you
that.
didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
Well, okay, you're almost there. You're getting up there, but as you age, you don't want to be around people. People are annoying, though. That is true.
yeah. Especially those in New York.
No,
No, actually, I like New
you're
York.
not
Yes,
wrong.
I like New York. Yeah, that's nice. So, anything else you guys want to touch on here?
I was curious to like talking about this dichotomy between Europe and the US. Um, the concept of religion and God in both the US, Canada, and Europe. Like Steve, like of course, in terms of like contemporary Europe and contemporary US and Canada, and with taking for granted that
Mm.
governments are secular and yeah.
Mm.
How do you see that, Stephen? Like, do you see any difference at the moment in terms of how people perceive religion in Europe versus the US?
I mean, US is more overtly religious. I mean, it's more common to pe meet people who are super devout, like that's the thing. But yeah, but I feel like the culture of the US is more atheistic. Like I think, yes, surface level, very devout, God, evangelicals, all that. But yeah, like the lifestyle is a very godless lifestyle. Like it's all about consumption. It's all about the pursuit of the individual self-interest, which is it's the complete opposite of, all the monotheistic religions. Whereas in Europe, like they say, yeah, like, religion, it's a thing of the past. I don't really go to church. But the lifestyle is much more human and like, I don't know. Like there's something I think, like I remember visiting family friends in Italy and they don't go to church anymore. Like they don't really pray. But the lifestyle struck me as like, this just seems like a more Christian lifestyle. The fact that they eat together as a family and that they do healthy things that I feel like had more of a vibe, even though they say, well, we're not religious anymore. That's my hot take.
So I just wanted to talk about Lorca, like poets, right? In my piece, I wrote about Woodman and
Hmm.
about how he talks about America has to be both individualistic and yet not individualistic. That is Whitman, yeah. He's got his own vision of American democracy. But what about Lorca? Does he have his own vision of what Europe entails or what Spain should be? Or because you wrote, I
Hmm.
haven't had the chance to read what
Yeah,
you
what
just wrote, but
does Juan Carlos say? What do you think?
I mean, he himself was the victim of all the European doom and chaos, and probably people watching this don't know that like he was killed by the Spanish Franco followers, like well, the Spanish Republica that lasted from 1930 to 1936, was brought into a halt by like a coup d'état that Francisco Franco and the like monarchy, like a mix of conservative monarchies and fascists trying to impose into Spain. And they started a war, of course, because the República didn't want that to happen. So the Spanish Civil War lasted from 1936 to 1939. And Lorca, he was, of course, a strong supporter during the República years. And I talked about that in the text. He traveled with his theater company across Spain, taking their plays into small areas, like bringing this culture out of Madrid and Barcelona to small and rural areas. So it was part of the concept of República of saying, hey, we are a big Spain, of course, made by different provinces and different cultures, but we want culture to be spread out and be accessible. And he also had a couple of positions, like government positions back in the time. And of course, as a homosexual, he was badly perceived by this coalition that Franco formed. He was killed by like the Franco military in Granada, which is a region in Spain, central Spain. Um, to this day, his body hasn't been found. Like the corpse hasn't been found. This military that killed him, they put him into like a pit with other bodies. And there's been like numerous attempts to recover his body, but like his like exact body hasn't been identified. And yeah, there's still like groups and NGOs who are working with the government now, trying to just like go to these areas nearby the town where this happened to see if they can find the corpse. But yeah, like that's precisely what his uh, like what Lorca represents in terms of Europe and the tragedy of the beauty and tragedy of coming from a European country. Now, let's also remember that he has a beautiful book, a poem collection called A Poet in New York. He went to New York. He was flabbergasted by New York and all the tall buildings and the fast life in the streets of New York. He has a couple of beautiful poems there. I also talk about that he went to New York actually before the Spanish Republica happened. It was 1929 and 1930. And it's there where he put the poem that I talk about in my text, which is the poem on which Leonard Cohen wrote this song, which was like a musical adaptation of the poem.
Well, what song is that?
Take This Waltz,
Okay.
1986.
Can you sing a little bit?
I cannot sing. No, I don't even do karaoke, but I strongly recommend this song. I love Cohen, as Juan Manuel knows. Leonard Cohen was from Montreal, and every year I go to his tomb in the Jewish cemetery, and I drink a bottle of wine in his name.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
That's
next
great.
time you guys come, I will take you there.
Well, you should be able to sing some of his songs.
Not
What
tonight.
about reading a little bit of that poem? Can you read us a couple of lines?
Sure,
that
let me
there?
find it quickly here. Yeah, just give me a moment. I can find it.
We want to hear your Lorca
While he's
voice.
doing that, let me just say, I think Lorca today would have been considered a trad because he was all about the roots and the heritage of Andalusia. He
Yeah.
was very proud of it. And I think, I mean, the thing is with Franco, like he wasn't a true traditionalist. Like fascism is like exalting a kind of bastardized version of tradition. But ultimately, like Lorca loved tradition. And that's why I think, I mean, in the sense that I'm saying like Europe is better than US because we have none. Anyway, that's my hot take. And I also told Juan Carlos when he comes to New York, I'm going to show him the mural of Lorca, which is outside the apartment building where he stayed when he was here.
Is this your first time talking to him?
In like,
Is this your first time talking to Juan Carlos?
Well, live, yeah.
yeah, like on Zoom, phone, yeah. I mean, via
Okay.
text and email all the time.
Okay, nice. Well, Lil,
I
glad
mean,
you
next
met
time,
him.
yeah, next time, Juan, we gotta go to New York
When you
and
do a New York trip, we'll go to the Lorca mural.
Sure,
yeah,
we'll go there. Just
we
let
were
me know.
there.
But
We
we
were
gotta
there like,
drive all the way there, all the way from Florida to New York.
yeah.
No flying, no trains, just driving.
Very American.
You got an electric SUV one, no?
Me? No, it's not an electric one, no.
Oh no,
Just a regular one, no gas. Yeah.
hybrid, no?
No, it's not hybrid. All right, cool. Did you find any lines to read?
Sure, yeah. The name of the poem is Pequeño Val Vienés, like little Viennese, yeah, Viennese waltz. And yeah, again, he wrote this poem. I'm not really sure if he wrote it in Spain or in New York, but it's in this collection, A Poet in New York, that I was talking about. Yeah, just like the first stanza is something like in Vienna, there are 10 little girls, a shoulder for death to cry on, and a forest of dried pigeons. There is a fragment of tomorrow in the Museum of Winter Frost. There is a 1,000-window dance hall. Ay. Take these close-mouthed walls. Little vaults, little vaults, little vaults of itself, of death, and of brandy that dips into it. That dips in its tail in the sea. That's why I don't read poems because I suck at that. But yeah, no,
What about the Spanish version? You don't have that?
I do have the Spanish version here, yeah. But, I mean, en Viena hay 10 muchachas, su nombre donde solloza la muerte y un bosque de palomas disecadas. Hay un fragmento de la mañana en el Museo de la Escarcha. Hay un salón con 1000 ventanas. Ay. Toma este vals con la boca cerrada. Este vals de sí, de muerte y de coñac que moja su cola en el mar. Hay una parte, there's a
Yeah,
part at the end
in
that I
English
include.
it said brandy, in Spanish it said cognac, right? So it was
Hmm.
Yeah, which is, yeah, exactly. But there is a part that I find like very powerful, very sexual as well, and I include it in the text that says, is actually the last stanza and says, in Vienna I will dance with you in a costume with a river's head. See how the hyacinths line by banks. I will leave my mouth between your legs, my soul in photographs and lilies. And in the dark wake of your footsteps, my love, I will have to leave violin and grave the valsing ribbons. So yeah, it's a very colorful and sexual part of the poem. En Viena bailaré contigo con un disfraz que tenga cabeza de río. Mira qué orillas tengo de jacintos. Dejaré mi boca entre tus piernas, mi alma en fotografías y azucenas. Y en las ondas oscuras de tu andar, quiero, amor mío, dejar violín y sepulcro las cintas del vals.
wow, yeah, that's hot.
I chose this poem because, of course, it synthesizes his relationship with Dali. That not many people know about that. They hanged out, and it's. I think it can be confirmed that they were dating, Lorca and Dali, and I also
You mean
many.
the painter Dali? They were
Yeah,
Well,
we're going out?
dating, I don't, did you see the movie about them?
There's a movie about
Robert
that? No,
Pattinson.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah, because like the movie makes it look like Dali was teasing him, like leading him on. And then he goes and sleeps with the girl, and Lorca's like watching in the corner, crying.
Oh, he just like was watching. Yeah,
He was
that's
like a
nice.
cuck, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Dali would say they were dating, but a little bit of a
Yeah.
fling.
Well,
There-
more than that, the important part there is that Lorca was more like left leaning, and Dali was more like fascist, let's say, and they were able to get along. Nowadays, that's kind of hard. Like if you can't find people at opposing sides of the political spectrum and
We would
then
call him
hanging out together.
fascist, but the contemporary left would call him. They call anything that is
Well,
not
I
left.
think he was actually more of a fascist than other
Was
people
he?
that they. Yeah, to me, he was. Yeah,
I would say he was.
Oh.
I don't know.
I
You
don't know.
tell me.
Like Borges, right? Like I wouldn't call him a fascist, but anyway, but yeah, no, I think yeah, it's also important to know because I was visiting Catalonia and I went to this house where Lorca and Dali potentially were at, and they were probably having sex inside. It's yeah, it was kind of interesting to think about that. That was the source of the text, like my exploration of this place. But I also was thinking about precisely like. Lorca having or being shot in this video because actually the reason why I took some stills from a video was because this video was recently found by a filmmaker who was making a documentary, and he found a recent footage, well, a footage of Lorca traveling with the theater company, and he appears smiling in this footage, and it was beautiful to see. Yeah, it almost brought me to tears, like seeing this Lorca all alive and happy, of course, before he was killed. And yeah, so that is a little bit about my text and about Lorca. And yeah, it's funny how you compare it to Whitman, because you also
Mhm.
mentioned Whitman in your text, Mama, and like Lorca was an all-time fan of Whitman's poetry.
Yeah, and there's that Allen Ginsberg poem where he talks about them both at the supermarket in California, where he sees Whitman and he talks to Lorca there
Lorca
inside
has
that
a poem
supermarket.
about a very long poem about Whitman. It's
Yeah.
ode to Walt Whitman, ode about Walt Whitman.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. Anything you want to read to us, Steve, before we end this conversation?
Anything I want to read. If I had Baudrillard, I would have pulled him out. I don't know where my copy went.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
have my copy here, the French one that I
can you read
recommend you
something
guys
in
read.
French, actually?
I
I want to hear
could
you
read,
read
I don't know.
French.
Let me see
That's
if I
even
could
better.
read. Do you think I could read any French?
I bet you can. You can affect
Merchan.
the accent.
I don't know if I'll get the accent. We'll have to
Do
check.
a Québécois accent.
This guy does. Yeah, I don't. What's the difference between the Quebecois accent and the actual French one? Is it like which one do you prefer?
Québécois is the Chilean of French.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So that's pretty much it.
yeah.
It's terrible. I have to say, it's terrible. The good thing is that if you crack the Quebecois accent, you pretty much are prepared for the rest of the French accents. Like they will be very easy to you because it's
Yeah.
actually very, very tough. They mix words, they put words where they are not supposed to be. They're very strict with Anglicisms, but at the same time, they sometimes use like some English words. Yeah, it's tough. But go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, I found something in French.
Okay.
It says, l'Amérique sidérale, les caractères lyriques de la circulation pure contre la mélancolie des analyses européennes, la sidération immédiate du vectoriel, du signalétique, du vertical, du spatial, contre la distance fébrile du regard culturel. I don't know how good I did. Was it that
Does Juan
understandable?
Carlos approve?
Yes, approved. I think you could do better with a couple of
Oh, I just need a
glasses.
couple of bottles of wine. Yeah, actually,
Yeah, exactly.
the times that I've spoken to in French to people is while drinking because they have these conversation clubs that I go to sometimes. And if I drink a couple of like remember that party we had with cracks and there were people speaking Italian.
Oh yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was able to speak Italian that day just
You're
because we
speaking
were drinking.
Italian?
Yeah, but I don't know much.
Impressively.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you then. It was nice seeing you guys here. I'm glad that Steve showed up. I don't know if I properly introduced him. He's
Do I
the
need an
editor
introduction?
in
They all
chief.
know.
Well, I don't know if the people, yeah, my people know you, but editor in chief
They
of Cracks
should.
and Pomo. He's from New York, or he lives in New York.
Yeah.
Merchant, he's in Quebec right now, but he's from Colombia, right? And I'm here in Florida right now. So, well, I hope we get to see each other in New York and hang out there and
Yes.
show us the Lorca painting
The
you mentioned.
Lorca painting, of course.
Okay.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Okay. Well, thank you. Gracias. Merci.
Gracias a ustedes. Merci.
This is El Matiz.